Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Final Stallions!
Don't put any of this in.
And now we have lights.
It's nighttime. This album is a fucking ripper, dude.
It is.
We're going to dive in right now on the next episode of Vinyl Stallions. What up, everybody? It is Spruce and Klep, and we are diving into our second album of our debut album series. Our first one we dove into was Van Halen by Van Halen, which was chosen by Tanner Wirtz of the Ice Cream Militia, The Currents out of Toledo, Ohio. Go check them out. Go check him out. Again, thanks, Tanner, for that. But this next one, your boy chose. And I was thinking really hard. I honestly did some Google searches of what are just debut albums that are considered renowned, some of the best, and some that I have not listened to. And I found myself staring face to face with Reasonable Doubt by Jay-Z, released in June of 1996.
Yeah. What a way to break into the scene, because this is like right when rap and hip hop is really on the upswing. Like Notorious Big, Tupac, Snoop Dogg, they're all like kind of established at this point, because they started in the early 90s. And now you kind of, I guess Dr. Dre throw in there too. Now you kind of have like the second wave starting to break in, the Jay-Z's, the Eminems, Outkast, Kanye West, like, and Jay-Z like kind of leads that wave. 1996, he's a bit before some of the others. I guess not Outkast, but that's he's like a few years before Kanye's first album. I think Eminem's first album might have been 97 or 99. It's not too long before that. But yeah, some of his most popular songs are on this album too.
Yeah, and some of just the, I don't know, Jay-Z goes hard as fuck in this album, and it stands out kind of different from his other albums that come after, just because there are really no just any pop or songs along those lines. It's just straight up Jay-Z going in, and some insane backing tracks. Klep mentioned it, some awesome features on here to be a first album. But again, before this, Jay-Z had no record deal. I mean, he early 90s was handing out mixtapes with Damon Dash, and caught the eye of Big Daddy Kane, and I know he was hanging out with some members of the Wu-Tang Clan as well. So had been in the scene, was looking for some sort of record deal. And I know he did some amazing, again, street level marketing with Damon Dash, and ended up getting a deal with Payday Records. And he released his first solo, In My Lifetime, through Payday Records. But then after that, Jay-Z then decided to leave and start his own record label, and which is now obviously Roc-A-Fella Records, with Damon Dash and Kareem Biggs Burke. And it's insane thing to be able to do your whole life. You're just searching for a record deal, you get it, and then you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it myself.
Yeah, that's an incredible like self bet, and one that's obviously paid enormous dividends for Jay-Z. And yeah, I mean, you hear it all throughout his songs. So just drop in Roc-A-Fella, y'all.
Dude, it's I mean, it just shows, and we've talked about other artists on here, such as like Bruce Springsteen. Trying to think who else has just gotten absolutely screwed by like record companies and management.
Kesha, Taylor Swift.
Yeah, T Swift was the other one we were talking about recently. But it's you obviously don't want to jump on the first thing, but you want to as a young, hungry artist. It's such a fine line, and it's tough out there. And obviously hold yourself to the highest standards. And I know Jay-Z, again, with Payday Records, was talking about how they were just acting shady the whole time. And didn't like how he worked or recorded some things. So yeah, he made that choice. Obviously, everyone now knows Roc-A-Fella Records. And as Club said, I love about this album. And again, this was my first time diving into this album. I knew a handful of songs off of it, but never went through it fully. And I just love how there's different interludes or segments before or after the songs where they're just like talking about Jay-Z in like a third person, or like someone else is talking about Jay-Z, being like, that Jay-Z, man, he's got it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I
And
was just geeking.
I think it's different than a lot of other rap artists, because a lot of other rap artists, I feel like, will do that, but they'll make it like a separate track. Whereas Jay-Z kind of found a way to like maybe only do it for like 15 to 30 seconds. And like you said, just stick it at the beginning or end of a song, and, just have it be part of the song rather than like its own separate interlude track.
Reasonable Doubt was recorded at D&D Studios and was mixed at Platinum Island. Majority of his beats were recorded elsewhere. But ultimately, this album reached number 23 on the US Billboard 200, and on which it charted for 18 weeks. And basically, Reasonable Doubt was certified platinum as of 2006 and has sold over 1.5 million copies in the US. And Jay-Z himself, I believe, has said that this quite possibly could be his best work.
Yeah. A lot of people, like, just like fans, tend to believe that too. And I guess, yeah, I mean, the only other one that I think like maybe I like more would be the Black album. I mean, this definitely could be it. Like, you could ask me tomorrow and it could be this one. Ask me the next day, it could be Black album. Like, I don't know. In my lifetime, volume 1 is pretty good. Volume 2, like, I mean, he's got quite a few good albums.
I mean, he's a household name, like we said. Like, he is top notch of A-list celebrities and has just made a name for himself and continues to do that. And again, an awesome first debut album that we're about to dive into. So let's kick it off. Sitting at number 1 is Can't Knock the Hustle, featuring Mary J. Blige, sitting at 5 minutes and 17 seconds.
Yeah, what a feature to have on the first song of your first album. So yeah, like Mary J. Blige at this point in her career, she's, 2 albums deep, has like some really popular songs, and is like very much on the upswing. So like that's pretty crazy for Jay-Z to like, land somebody like that to do a feature on a debut album, when at that point, like he has no brand value or anything.
Yeah, no, it's a great way to start it. Again, I love the talking at the beginning. Just brings you up. This was one of the songs I didn't know on the album. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not too much to say about this one to start it off. It's an all-time banger, and if you don't know it, definitely go check it out. But it continues us down the path into one of the coolest backing track beats on this album, in my opinion, in Politics as Usual, sitting at 3 minutes and 41 seconds.
Yeah, this was one of the songs that I did know off the album ahead of time. And yeah, that line, Politics as Usual, I feel like makes its appearance in a few different songs throughout this album. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to describe the beat on this, but it's like funky and then like gets big and then gets small, but it's still funky the whole time.
Dude, yeah, the horns in it are just...
Yeah, the do. Wow.
Now, this is a great song to put at number 2, and I'm surprised it doesn't have as many listens as so many of these other songs on here.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, like I would
And we're
think,
referencing Spotify for those out there.
yeah, Spotify plays it is, let's see, it's 8th on the album, so it's in the lower 50%. It's 15 songs. Whereas like this was one of 4 songs off this album I knew like before listening to the whole thing. And yeah, I guess it wasn't a single off the album, so I can kind of understand it, but yeah, I feel like that song definitely got some radio play despite not being a single. Because yeah, like you said, that beat, everyone kind of knows it. They might not know it's Jay-Z, they might not know it's from this album, but everyone knows that beat.
Yeah, no, it is an absolute banger, and takes us into another banger and another banger of a feature in Brooklyn's Finest, sitting at 4 minutes and 35 seconds, featuring the Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah, and that is why if you look on my screen behind me, I have Ready to Die, Locked and Loaded. So I don't have any Jay-Z vinyls. Maybe I need to change that. But I figured if we can't show a Jay-Z vinyl for this episode, we'll at least show a Biggie vinyl since he's in one of the songs.
Yeah, Brooklyn's Finest was competitive, though, like a friendly battle kind of between Jay-Z and a Biggie. And
yeah, and it's cool. They're kind of talking about like the whole East Coast, West Coast, like hip hop wars, because they're, both definitely on the East Coast side of that battle.
yeah, fuck. I had something I wanted to say about this. Oh, here's what it was. That bass line, or just the main melody going on in the background, literally reminded me of Seinfeld, which took place in New York. And so I don't know, thought it was ironic that it was Brooklyn's Finest, and I'm just sitting there thinking about somewhere in New York and that bass line, and it all just kind of went together for me. So bangers all around.
Yeah, no, I mean all 3 of those first songs, I think like that is a common theme, is they're all like super groovy. Like, I mean, they almost like don't feel like rap in a way. I mean, because they're groovy, it's like perfect music, for rap. But I mean, I feel like if you just took all the words out of these songs, you would think it's like some 70s funk band.
It is. And want to know what? I'm an idiot, because that was not the song with the bass line I'm thinking of. That is coming up later.
But this song does have a sick bass line.
It does, but it doesn't sound like Seinfeld. So I retract my statement.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll understand what I'm saying here pretty soon. But let's continue down our sweet, sweet path into Dead Presidents 2, and 4 minutes and 26 seconds.
I will add, so this album is a double discer, and this represents the flip. So Brooklyn's Finest ends the A side, and Dead Presidents 2 begins the B side. And this album was released on vinyl right away. Like, even in the mid 90s, when vinyl's starting to die and CDs are coming in, Jay-Z's like, no games, we're pressing this bad boy.
And this was actually the first promotional single off of this album.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I just said, though it did not directly appear on the album, a different version of the song with the same backing track and chorus, but with different lyrics, called Dead Presidents 2, appeared on Reasonable Doubt. What? So there's a song called Dead Presidents that was released as the first promotional singles, and then Dead Presidents 2 is what this album has. Interesting.
Okay. That makes sense, yeah, because why is it Dead Presidents too, you know?
Yeah, and apparently Jay-Z had recorded a track called Dead Presidents 3 around the same time as the Black Album, but it was never
Huh.
completed.
Okay.
But it was like released, and I think was it was just released
Ah,
at least. Well, the unfinished song at least was.
and here's another fun fact. So the percussion on this song is sampled from the song "Oh My God" by A Tribe Called Quest.
Oh,
And then,
fucking
so,
banger.
okay, you know how there's that loop too, where it's like, I'm out for dead presidents to represent me. That is also a sample of a Nas song, The World Is Yours.
Hot damn.
And that makes sense because I guess, so I don't know enough about Nas to pick that up. I know A Tribe Called Quest, but not enough to like know that that was just the percussion from one of their songs. But there is another song coming up that I noticed like some Snoop Dogg samples, but he's not like credited on the song. So it is probably a sample and not necessarily. Do you think about it, the East Coast, West Coast hip hop battle, Snoop probably wouldn't be doing a straight up feature on a Jay-Z song, at least at this point in time.
Yeah, hell no. There was some big beef back then.
Yeah, but yeah, Dead Presidents 2 is a great song. Like, I guess it doesn't really matter that it uses quite a few samples because the way Jay-Z puts it all together is pretty damn good.
And we will continue down our path with the song I knew best going into this, in Feeling It, featuring Mecca, sitting at 3 minutes and 47 seconds.
Yeah, this is a melter. Like, Mecca's voice is incredible on this song.
And so yeah, the chorus is sung by Mecca, and then the beat was produced by Ski.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, an iconic song. Later used by 50 Cent in, it looks like it was his mixtape, 2002. Didn't use it in like a good way. Tried to use it to diss Jay-Z. I don't think it worked.
Oh, is that with Be a Gentleman?
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, Fiddy. I would love to do a Fiddy album. I love Fiddy. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, dude. I remember. I feel like we got drilled by this one time. When hanging out together.
It's possible.
Like I feel like it was at Dave Noblesville last year. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. But nonetheless, that's what definitely the most known song for me going into this album.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it is just like an incredible song. It might be my favorite off the album, but if not, it's definitely up there. Definitely elements of jazz in it, and the beat does actually sample the song "Pastures" by the famous jazz musician Ahmad Jamal. So that's where you get the jazz elements from.
Fuck yeah. It ain't gonna stop, but we will continue. As number 6 is The Evils, and that's sitting at 3 minutes 31 seconds.
Yeah, and so this was a song I was talking about where like it sounds like there's Snoop Dogg samples throughout the song, but like it, like Brooklyn's Finest, like Notorious Big is like a specific feature. Mecca is a specific feature on Feeling It. Mary J. Blige on Can't Knock the Hustle, but Snoop Dogg's not credited on this, so it's got to be just samples.
Yeah, it says hook samples, Snoop Dogg and Prodigy.
Yeah, yeah, because there is another voice that I guess that's got to be Prodigy.
Yep. Yeah, no, that is what that is. Yeah, that is funny. I guess I didn't think about it at the time because there was no features or even the beef in itself. So I'm glad you pointed that out. That is
Yeah,
interesting.
I guess I haven't paid attention to their relationship, like recently, but I would have to think by now Jay-Z and Snoop Dogg are friends, like, right? Like the whole East Coast, West Coast thing, it's over. We are all one interconnected being.
And we will be interconnected with the twos as we head into number 7, which is 22 twos. Sitting at 3 minutes 28 seconds.
Yeah, and so, earlier we mentioned that I think it was, Dead Presidents 2 uses the percussion section from A Tribe Called Quest song. 22 Twos is like quite clearly a tribute to A Tribe Called Quest when, they're saying, "Can I kick it? Yes, you can." Like pretty much throughout the whole song.
And then it has that woman's voice coming in. And I love at the end when she was like, "Did you tell me to F off? Like, get him out of here." And she's like, "Back to what I was saying. Like, Jay-Z is the man." And
I'm not gonna continue this show until he is out of here.
Yeah, you tell me to shut the F up.
That is like a funny little just like 45 to 30 seconds to throw in there.
And then it leads us to another melter. And I'm talking about one that will just put you back in your seat. But before I say what this is, Klepp, are we starting our C-side here?
We are, yeah. So 22 Twos ends the B-side, ends the first disc, toss it back in, get out your second disc.
Just right there again, like you talk about how to make a vinyl. It was really released on vinyl. Like that woman talking is what ends side 2. Like,
yep.
Or side B.
And I guess one thing to note too, so Jay-Z has some wiggle room with like how he could sequence the songs on this. Because, this album is like 55 minutes. You have like, assuming that it's 33 and a half speed, you have about 20 minutes per side. So he ended the first side before he needed to. He technically could have fit Dead Presidents 2 on there. He didn't. And probably, probably for the best. Because, like you said, that woman, that whole like back and forth thing where she gets a guy thrown out of the bar, that's a great way to end the side. But you put Dead Presidents 2 on the A side, well, then 22 Twos probably isn't ending the B side. I mean, in theory, Jay-Z could have got all this whole disc on 3 sides. So the fact that he used all 4 sides is like interesting. And I guess what I'm getting at is it means there's more thought to the sequencing in this than perhaps like some other double discers, because he didn't need to use 2 full discs. He could have got it on 3 sides. Or he could have done what some artists do and like cut some songs from the vinyl pressing and just fit it on 1 disc, which if you are an artist listening, never do that. For your sake and for your fans' sake, never cut songs from the vinyl pressing.
Only add.
Yep. Yeah, give us extras. If somebody's willing to buy your vinyl, you give them everything you got.
Very good, Anakin. All right, we continue on to Down by the Seaside. So sitting at number 8, Can I Live, at 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Welcome to the Goop Pick Club. How may we help you?
So this is, at least for me, where the album started to get really interesting, because the first half of that album was where all the songs that I knew were. And like, even though I didn't necessarily know the Mary J. Blige song, like it's still familiar because I know Mary J. Blige. The Evils has Snoop Dogg samples. So that's still like a familiar, comforting voice. The 22 Twos is like basically in a Tribe Called Quest cover with, some Jay-Z verses mixed in. So when we get to Can I Live, now like it's like, all right, now I'm in like completely unfamiliar territory. Now like let's really learn like what this debut Jay-Z album is about.
And it is horny as fuck.
And I feel like, yeah, like you're right. That like kind of like horn beat, I feel like has been sampled in more modern artists' music before, but I can't put my finger on where.
So it says Irv Gotti samples the Look of Love by Isaac Hayes, as Jay asked a simple yet resonating question. So produced by Irv Gotti. So but it was a sample of the Look of Love by Isaac Hayes, who is the voice of Chef on South Park.
Okay, so I have it backwards. I guess that like horn part is familiar, but I guess I need to go back in time, a little 70s, little Isaac and the Boys.
Well, nonetheless, yeah, I thought that horns at points were even just like there's one flute or something that sounded like a synth, and it very well may be a synth, but I just love that in rap music, hip hop music, and yeah, it just puts you in a freaking mood, man. Kendrick does a great job with it.
Yeah, I do love this beat too. Like, I'm like, whenever the snare drum's hitting, there's like a tambourine click too. But yeah, I mean, it's also like nice to see like not, like this album has like a mix of faster and slower songs, and this is a slower one, and it's nice that like, I don't know, I feel like by the time we started, moving into the 2000s, it was just like rap was just kind of a contest to like, all right, who can just cram the most words into, the shortest amount of time. And like Jay-Z's like, no, we're gonna let this song breathe. We're gonna give space for different sounds. And
his voice is just so iconic when he's like, do it. Like, I don't know. I can't do a Jay-Z impersonation, but I don't know. You just know it's his voice immediately. And I feel like I love when he like raps and then like throws in like a ha-ha, like a laugh at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, no, his voice, yeah, is definitely like one of the few where you know it, like even if you're not really a Jay-Z fan.
Absolutely. All right, so sitting at number 9 is Ain't No N-Word featuring Foxy Brown. Sitting at 4 minutes and 2 seconds. And this was the song with the bass line I was referring to earlier, where it comes out swinging, and it just reminds me of the goo pit that is the Seinfeld bass. That's I'm about to put it on right now so I can get it down.
Yeah, and so like this, like the whole premise of the song is playing off of Ain't No Woman Like the One I've Got by the Four Tops. Just with a little bit more colorful language.
Yeah, like, dude, oh my God. I was just grooving so hard to this. Wait, is this the one where he's like, no one will fuck you better?
Well, that's the Snoop Dogg song. So they both like both songs like
mixed up.
Well, no. I like thought the same thing. But yeah, no, that they both like pull from the same beat. It's 7 Minutes of Funk by the Whole Darn Family. And like Jay-Z with this song like takes it a different direction, because like the chorus and like the vocals mirror "Ain't No Woman Like the One I've Got."
Yes.
And then Snoop Dogg like does his own thing with it, but they share like the same core beat, which is that 7 minutes of funk by the whole darn family.
Got you. Okay. And yeah, no, and Foxy Brown kills it on this.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, this is definitely one of my favorites. Hell yeah. We'll continue to our double digits, Friend or Foe. The shortest one on the album at 1 minute and 49 seconds.
Nobody coming around here fucking with they dope for shit. You enterprising though, and I like it. But fuck with the big dog, Joe.
Yeah, and so this Friend or Foe ends the C-side. So again, like just going back to that sequencing, like the C-side is not even 10 minutes. So that's like what I was saying, where like it's a bit more deliberate. Like you could have fit the rest of the album on this side if you wanted to. Which means it is very important to pay particular attention to the end of Friend or Foe. Which is like, I don't know. That's interesting, because I feel like all the whole like crazy interlude part of Friend or Foe takes place at the beginning, not the end. The end is like where it's like the more Jay-Z rap song.
Hell yeah. Also, Club, I want to go back to that song before. I was right. It was like, ain't no man like the one that I got. No one can fuck you better. That is that last one.
Like the Four Top song, or
and ain't no N-word. That is when that call and response does happen. I was right.
Oh, like you're like the Foxy Brown part.
No, sorry. No. Oh yes, the Foxy Brown. I'm sorry, Stampede. We're all over the place right now. But yes. Anyway,
I think
just wanted to say it wasn't the Snoop one. Well, at least the one I was thinking of.
He does. Snoop Dogg does do that too, and like the person saying that is Nate Dogg in the Snoop song.
Ah. I got you. Okay. Well, we press forward. We don't look back. We continue to number 11, Coming of Age, featuring Memphis Bleek. That's in at 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
And okay, so we were talking about the Roc-A-Fella label earlier. One of like the marquee signings for Roc-A-Fella was Memphis Bleek. So that was like kind of cool. And Memphis Bleek's first album was in 1999. So it was like kind of cool. Like Jay-Z finds him, gives him a feature on his song, and then, produces his debut album.
Yeah, it says Jay-Z found Memphis Bleek from the Marcy Projects. And this is a banger of a song as well, and hidden just deep in it. And it's kind of funny as well to see who produces these things. So this one was produced by Clark Kent. Shout out to Clark Kent. Those parents had a right idea of what to name their son. So super. But yeah, no, there's at least like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like at least 7 or more producers just on this album alone. So, but this one's Clark Kent. So yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting concept of an album. Usually you just work with one producer on an entire project.
Yeah. And so one thing I noticed too about this song, I think the drum beat is the same drum beat in like another Jay-Z song called Can I Get Some, or Can I Get
Can I
I'll
get a
look it
woo
up now.
woo?
Yeah, it's that song. I think I'm gonna try to look it up and see if it says.
Yeah, it's
I don't see anything about it featuring the drums from that song, but if you listen to them, I feel like it is the same drums in both songs. And I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because, Jay-Z's just going to have that like on a computer somewhere, just pulled up, be like, all right, same beat, but we're going to make two totally different songs with it.
it's done well nonetheless.
Yeah.
And we continue to number 12, which is Cashmere Thoughts, sitting at 2 minutes 56 seconds. Yeah, I just saw, I wanted to say that this one has a sample of Save Their Souls by Bahanan,
Okay.
who is was an American percussionist, and his name was Hamilton Frederick Bonin, but was simply known as Bonin.
Yeah, and like another song where it's like a little bit slower, where some of the other instruments can breathe more, and
Wait, I just
it's
have
not
to
just
say that Bonin, he began playing in local bands, one of which featured Jimi Hendrix on guitar.
oh wow,
Yeah, what?
yeah, Hamilton, Bon, and like what in the world? And sideman for Stevie Wonder.
All right, Hamilton, you have a date with Kloppenheim.
We're coming for you.
But we'll deal with Hamilton later. As we continue, we're getting close to the end here. We only got 3 more left, and another one that I think is in ripper in itself is called Bring It On, sitting at number 13. I think this is no, it's not the longest. It's 5 minutes 1 second. The longest is 5 minutes 17 seconds, which was the first song. Can't Knock the Hustle.
Yeah, and this song, yeah, we got 2 features, Big Jazz, Sauce Money. But yeah, I feel like this song, even though like it just has like a more modern feel to it, even though, it's like an older song. But yeah, it is cool, like, cause yeah, Big Jazz and Sauce Money each get a verse. So it is kind of cool, like hearing some different voices, on the verses. That's also probably why it's like one of the longer songs, second longest.
Yeah, so apparently this beat was originally for Nas and AZ, and they were supposed to be on Bring It On, but they kept not showing up, and that's when
Damn.
that's when Jay-Z was like, all right, we'll take it. And so they brought on Sauce and Jazz onto the song, and that is what we got right now. And yeah, it's like a friendly competition, honestly.
Yeah.
That's a good one. It's a good one towards the end of the album as well. I don't know. Like, people can obviously lose interest as you continue through albums, but it's hard when it's stuff like this.
Yep. And so that takes us into the last song on the album, which is Regrets. When you look at the song on Spotify, or the album on Spotify, there is a Can I Live 2, which is track 15, but that is technically a reissue bonus track. The original version that was released in 1996 ends with Regrets.
Interesting.
And this is a very interesting song because I generally don't listen to lyrics, but this was the one song on this album where like the lyrics really taught me, because it's talking about like you have to learn how to live with regrets. And it just made me like kind of think, because I'm always someone who tries to like have the mindset of like, oh, I don't regret anything because, like if something went wrong or whatever, like at least I learned from it, and everything's an experience. But then like I heard the song and I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, maybe I'm like thinking about it the wrong way. Maybe it's okay to have regrets as long as you can understand it and live with it. And like I think that's kind of what Jay-Z's getting at here, is like it's not like just about like, pretending everything's okay. Like learn to accept it and
Vulnerable is the word
yeah.
you're looking for. Vulnerable indeed. And yeah, no, this was oddly enough one of the ones I didn't know beforehand going in. I has a sample from Hubert Laws and Earl collaboration in the song of
Mhm.
"It's So Easy Loving You," and yeah, no, it's I don't know, this whole like I just want to roll open the top of my window every time I hear this song and just continue to drive for the full hour because you're just bopping the whole way through, and it really does fly by. Like I remember, I don't know where it started at. It probably was like around "Can I Live" all the way to "Bring It On." Like those songs just flow together insane.
Yeah.
Like the whole
Yeah.
C D side. Yes, yeah. You prefaced it beforehand. Second half of the album.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing like flows together pretty well. I like when I was listening to this, it just like the end of the album snuck up on me. Like I was able to just kind of like forget about what I was doing pretty quickly and get like sucked into the music. And then it's like all of a sudden the album's over and like, wow, that was pretty damn good.
Yeah, no, it was. And if you're telling me that's the end of the album, then that's the end of the album.
We didn't dive into Can I Live Too though, because I mean, at least me personally, I listened to it. I didn't realize that it was not part of the original release until like afterwards. But I mean, yeah, it honestly probably is kind of like Dead Presidents 1 versus Dead Presidents 2. It's just like a different version of the song.
Yeah, I think it just came out as like a bonus track on the 1998 reissue of the album. Yeah,
And it's like if you got it, you might as well put it out there. Why not?
and it's a sample of "Mother's Day" by 24 Karat Black.
Hmm.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought the Stallions would make it through Reasonable Doubt and continue their path
Look
towards
at us.
debut album, series completion?
Yeah,
But nah, man, it's fun. We have I don't know, have we dove into like a hip hop album yet before this? There's been a lot that's happened in the last year, Club. I don't really remember.
well, so kind of when we did Demon Days with B-Mac, that album is definitely kind of hip hop. I mean, we talked about Speaker Box and The Love Below on, what was it, Vinyl Roulette 3.0? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, yeah, like on our top albums of 2016, we talked about The Life of Pablo a little bit.
I guess I meant full albums. Nonetheless,
Yeah,
you are the first.
Yeah, for full album review, yeah, the only thing that would really, yeah, it would be that Gorillaz album. But Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt, much more in the hip hop space than Gorillaz.
And a little hint. I don't think this is going to be the last hip hop album of the series. Ooh.
I think you're correct.
That's all we'll say about that. But yeah, shout out to Jay-Z. Clap, what were your top three off this?
Yeah, oh yeah. we would be remiss to not do a top 3. And honestly, my choices are going to be basic bitch, but I don't care. Feeling it. 10 Presidents 2. And I guess we'll switch it up a little bit, and I'll go Regrets for the other one. I could have easily put Brooklyn's Finest or Politics as Usual in there.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Politics as Usual, Feeling It, and then Ain't No N-Word will be my top 3.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't go wrong with this. Again, it was the first time diving into a full Jay-Z album. Great to understand his roots and just where it all started and how he's become, again, one of the top A-list celebrities in the entire world and has just made a name for himself beyond just rapping, but also just being a figure. So thank you, Jay-Z. Glad we were able to do this collab. Book it. We did it.
Hell yeah. More rap and hip hop to come.
Please, more rap and hip hop. And I'm not just talking about an album reviews. All 5.0 vinyl roulette. Please give it to me. Please. I want that To Pimp a Butterfly. Please.
To Pimp a Spruce a Fly.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, besides that, my name is not Klep.
And my name is not Spruce.
And this has possibly been another episode of the podcast called Stallions Vinyl. Thank you very much.